So I'm going to start with Mark. We've heard lots of ideas about solutions at different scales. We've also heard about the complexity of the problem. As you reflect on that, what do you think are the most important things that we must do to future-proof our global food system?
Well, I think there's a short-term and a medium-term way of looking at it. The short-term, I don't want to underestimate the scale of the current crisis and the numbers we started with. It is urgent we have that both and, the immediate humanitarian response that is desperately needed in so many countries, but also increased investment in real time to support agricultural development and food production. And that's having to deal with some of those problems that Thomas talked about in real time and I alluded to. If fertilizer prices are 5 times what they were a year ago in a place like Nigeria, that's going to have a knock-on consequence on agricultural productivity there over the next 12 to 15 months. Currently, when there is a fertilizer price war globally, as is going on, as happened with vaccines or other tools, the least developed countries and less developed countries tend to lose out because they are unable to purchase scale, and certainly smallholder farmers aren't able to. So we do need sustained attention and political attention and focus both at the national level by the developing countries themselves, the low and middle income countries themselves, and by the global community. But more broadly, as you've also heard, I think there are some really important medium-term opportunities to be optimistic about. That you heard Thomas talking about the advances that we have made in terms of ways to reach out to and help smallholder farmers across the world. He was using examples in Kenya and other parts of sub-Saharan Africa, but this is true in South Asia and elsewhere, where you can massively increase productivity. You can use improved seeds. We invest heavily as the Gates Foundation in new drought-tolerant maize seeds and other tools which are starting to be rolled out, or flood-resistant rice that's been rolled out in India and Bangladesh that can actually stay submerged for a couple of weeks and so will still stay productive in the case of floods. And we also have tools available. You talked about the need to customize fertilizer application. We've been primary supporters of an effort to provide a sort of digital soil atlas across sub-Saharan Africa, where you can actually go down to very small plots of land and actually analyze the soil. These are tools available to farmers in wealthier countries like the US. And now we're able to do the same in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, where you can then customize the amount and type of fertilizer that's being used in order to provide, maximize productivity, to try and get that doubling of agricultural productivity that Thomas talked about. And last but not least, that is absolutely a critical component of the climate adaptation side of the climate. And we saw in the poll, people saw climate change as one of the key issues for medium and long-term food security, and that's absolutely correct. But it's also true that global adaptation, which is where we at the Gates Foundation focus, which is investing in those tools for better water use, for improved agricultural productivity, for dealing with drought and flood resistance, is way, way, way underinvested in compared to climate mitigation, which remains incredibly important. And we do need to see those investments scaled up, because it actually is incredibly important for both food security, but longer-term economic productivity and the ability to come back to that upward trajectory of growth and opportunity that we saw over the last couple of decades, and that currently we're facing those very, very heavy headwinds.